Hello, everyone. This is Joe Garcia, Global Ambassador, and with my business partner, the legend, the dynamic Mr. Dan Catto. Dan, can you hear me okay?
Joe, I can hear you great, and I want to do a double, triple audio check. How am I sounding, bud?
Fantastic, fantastic. You might want to just get closer to the mic there and we'll be cool.
I'm getting a little closer.
Great. Well, Dan, you and I have had an incredible year in 2017. NHT Global has had an incredible year in 2017. And we wanted to put this webinar together for our distributors all over the world. We're going to give you today, ladies and gentlemen, a vision of NHT Global moving forward, what transpired in 2017, and what we would recommend, what you do, what you want to do to accomplish your goals in 2018. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my business partner, Dan Catto. And Dan, I know you've got some exciting visionary concepts that you want to share with everyone here today.
Yeah, thanks, Joey. And you're right. I really believe for all of us, with what we've got here, I'm going to do. It's kind of in three parts. Just a review on 2017. What I just came back from, and you were tied into that as well, with this incredible event that we had in Stockholm, Sweden. I was part of the Royal Summit. I'll expand on that in a second. It was unbelievable. I mean, it was numbing. DNA adjusting and changing. It was incredible. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. But also, what do we have on the horizon, for 2018 and beyond? So, Joey, we're going to do this in certainly under an hour, north of 30 minutes. What we could be sharing with everyone is basically 17 years of what we've done and accomplished. You and I and our teams and our organizations and our incredible leadership that we've been blessed with and surrounded ourselves with, but this incredible opportunity. But I think, as you were saying on the outset, what's even more important than this is what you do with what you've got. And if you don't capitalize on that or take action, as I've always said, thoughts determine what you want. Action will determine what you get. It's a missed opportunity for you, and certainly for anyone that doesn't take advantage of what they have and capitalize on what they've got. So, Joe, and just in saying all of that, I think for all of us, we want to certainly recognize, and sometimes we got to click refresh. My God, what do we have here? And not just in review of 17, and I'll just highlight on some points and some bullets here, but what we've accomplished with NHT since 2001, when you and I did that very, very first meeting with only one product and black and white brochures and a website that didn't work in one market with no global ambassadors, and us seeing what we saw, over the next 5 to 10 and 20 years and beyond. Well, all of that has happened. And, we've now we just about eclipsed 2 billion in sales, and obviously our goal is to do that on an annualized rate, and we're tracking that. So, and why we need to, there's two parts with that in terms of review of 2017 and where we've been. We've got a lot of new people that are on this call. We've got a lot of people, and I say new, people that have just joined us, and welcome to the call. But we've got a lot of leadership that's on this call. A lot of distributors have been with us for a long, long time, that are here because of the products, here because of the opportunity, here for your reasons. And there's so many incredible, wonderful, magical reasons that there are for being involved with NHT. And, I've always said at the very core of it, it's freedom, and it's freedom of choice to have just about anything that you want. That really is at the core of the vein of what we are as an opportunity and as a business around the world. But take a look at it, gang, and what's happened just in review here. If you don't ever forget, especially for our vets that have been, and there's a lot of you that are on the call that have been with us more than 10 years, and with Joey and I from our early days to what we have here. Guys, never forget, we're a company that is 17 years old. Most companies don't get to their first year anniversary. in our industry and outside of our industry. So never forget that. We are publicly traded on probably the most scrutinized index in the world, the NASDAQ in New York. So everyone, wants to know everything, anything, all of it about us. You can get that. It's fully HD transparent. You can get everything on us, from the good, the bad, and the ugly, and there's a ton of great. So there's a lot of that there. But, just to reflect on what we've done here, it's never, ever been done before in history. We can never forget where we came from, that the last 3 years, we've basically been the fastest growing publicly traded company in the world, except for 1 year, which was 3 years ago, and we were 2. So basically, not 1, not 2, but 3 years in a row. It's never, Joe, I don't think it's ever been done before, from what I understand, in history, inside and outside of our industry. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. You just want to be a part of something like that. Don't ever forget, too, our e-commerce business model is being taught at the finest universities in the Far East, the University of Guangzhou, Beijing, and Shanghai. Jefferies, the #1 investment house on Wall Street, is recognized as the #1 stock pick over the last few years to get involved with. If they said Chris Sharn, with his talk that he had just in Sweden just a couple of weeks ago, when he was throwing these numbers up for all of us, and if you don't realize it, but we've had over 3,000% growth from just in the last 5 years in terms of our stock and in terms of our growth. So just a powerful message for the guy on the street and for Main Street America, for what we've done and what we've accomplished, again, inside and outside of our industry. Joey, in doing all of this, in what we've accomplished in nearly 20 years, it's going to be north of 17 years now, still in North America, where we were founded, and we're, guys, as you know, we're tracking 50 countries now. We're in over 45 countries. 99%, and I can say north of 99% of North Americans have never heard of our products, that have got Nobel Prize winning research behind it, and have never heard of our company. That's crazy, and we've accomplished all of this. So, Joe, I've jokingly but seriously said, if you can't build in this environment, if you can't promote this business and this opportunity, these products, this opportunity, what we have that's global, you probably need another line of work. So let's take a look at 2017. Russia. Congrats to you with all of the geopolitical stuff that's gone there, and you can even be under a rock and you'd know what was going on over in Russia. They were still up over 4%. North America, because of the great Andreas and what he's been doing out of Chicago, and some of our people in the Northeast, and some of the people that we've got with the new Creating Greatness group, North America's business was way up in 2016, and we applaud all of you. The fastest growing market in the fastest growing publicly traded company in the world, that fastest growing market was Europe. And Europe was up 167%. And that was led really by the incredible leadership out of Sweden that I'm going to recognize here just in a second. But that all comes back to the great Garth Thomas, Dalibor, that is just chugging and thugging every single day out of the Czech Republic. In Ireland, Sonia, Finland, the Flying Finn, Miko, what you've done. And, in Sweden, we've got a great amount of incredible leadership there that has really been at the core and has really been the fire that's burning, and everything that we have that's going on in Europe. At the base of that, the wood that's the hottest is in Sweden, and that comes really from the great Kaya, and it wouldn't have all happened if it wasn't for Helen. I can't say enough for that woman. If you ever get a chance, wherever you are in the NHT world, you get an opportunity to meet Helen, you just want to shake hands with her and spend 2 or 3 minutes with her, and you'll find out why the magic in Europe has all happened through her, but through that incredible team. But we've had new markets, Joe. In 2017, Malaysia was one. It was like a New Year's Eve when they lit it up. The fireworks display, the launch that we had there was incredible, but it was only surpassed by Peru. I was down in Peru just a few weeks ago in Lima, November 11th for that launch. And as Chris Sharn said, it had a Mardi Gras atmosphere. We had close to 1,200 people at that Peru event. I just applaud so much Scotty B and the great Luis Landeros for the launch of South America that started in Lima, Peru. And gang, it's just the beginning. It is actually the market that Chris Sharn, and not just the market, but what Chris Sharn, the president CEO of NHT Global, is most excited about right now. Obviously very, very excited about our future, where we're going in 2018 and beyond. I'll talk about that in a second, because that was a big, big part of his talk that he had just 10 days ago when Joe and I were in Stockholm at the Royal Summit dinner that we went to with our global ambassadors in our inner circle with Chris. I'm going to talk about some of the highlights of that talk, which was incredible. But he was most excited about our future in Latin and South America, along with a lot of other things, but very, very excited about where we're going. But that launch that we had there was wild. You can get the visual online. We've got it on our Facebook community page. Joey's shot out a lot of videos on that. The great Kazoo, who is the highest rank that we've got down there. Joey, he's 5. He's tracking rank 6. He accomplished that in literally weeks in getting to rank 5. We've got great leadership down there. I'm going to miss some names, and I can't name them all, but, Jorge, Carlos. The one that really moved me was a lady down there named Concepcion. For all of you listening to this call, remember where our ambassadors are mostly coming from. They're coming from markets where the average income per capita per month is around $200 to $300 a month. That's outside of our industry. That's outside of our business. That's outside of NHT. That's the demographically per capita income in the Far East, in the Chinas, in some of the former Eastern Bloc countries that we've got in Europe. But it's the same thing in some of the poorer communities that we have in Latin and South America. But that is where we're getting so much of our leadership and our drive. This lady, Concepcion, she's barely 5 foot tall. Joey, she came up on stage, hit rank 4 in just literally a matter of weeks, came in at platinum, and she comes from a village where there's no running water or electricity. The little village that she came from was 5 hours away from Lima, Peru. She had over 100 people on a bus that came to Lima, Peru to fill that room. I mean, you were moved to tears. It just moved you. I mean, I get chills saying it. I got chills watching this. I couldn't believe that woman, what she did. And gang, I said that at the beginning. It's what you do with what you've got. And that woman did not come from a position of strength or a highly leveraged position, but she sees the opportunity. She may be one of the first 2 or 3 ambassadors in South America, so I really applaud her. So Lima, Peru is one of the magical shining lights, Peru in general, but all of South America, as Chris Sharn had said. Gang, you know about the new products. If you've missed it, get on them, check it out. But we got a new herbal line, a new enhanced BioCell package and product to our BioCell product that we've got, new and enhanced probiotics. We launched a new skincare line that was just released in Europe and Stockholm. We've got this magical botanical hand cream that was released by Dr. Ben in Europe, which we've got here. Stem Renew. By the way, I can't say enough about that hand cream. I'm not a hand cream guy, but when I was in Sweden for 10 days, I'm going to talk about that in a second, Joey. When we were qualified, my wife and I we're just in Stockholm, and then I'll talk about that in a second. But if you're in a colder climate, not just these hot climates that you got where I am right now, I'm on the beaches of just north of Miami on the ocean here, you got to cream yourself up. We've got the best botanical hand cream available out there today. Dr. Ben really did a great job in talking about that product and how important it was and how he had formulated this particular product for his kids, for his children. And that's where it started. So, really for all of us, our heart starts with our kids, starts with our loved ones. And he wanted to formulate something that would be just perfect for his kids. And he wouldn't at all put something together and couldn't market, sell it, promote it, release it, have it, certainly for NHT, unless it was 150% for his kids. So it's just an incredible product. I had to put it on, a couple of times a day when I was out there in that, for all of you Europeans and Canadians, 30 to 40 below Celsius weather. You heard me right. 30 to 40 below Celsius weather, but it was fun. We were in a fairy tale magic land when we were over there at this Royal Summit trip that I'm going to talk to you about just here in a few minutes. But StemRenew sales just continue to explode around the world because of the incredible results that our people are getting from StemRenew. They're life-changing, life-enhancing, and I can't use the other word from a compliance standpoint, but it saved my butt. StemRenew, thank you, and it's saved so many people in so many other ways around the world. So, Joe, those StemRenew sales continue to soar and climb because the stuff works. Every year, gang, every quarter, you will see new products being released. Joe and I already know some of the new products that we'll have in 2018. For the new markets that we have, like Peru, you have new products being released just about pretty much every quarter. And there's, the lineup. For all of you South Americans, it's the same thing what we have with some of the newer markets that we're going into in the Far East as well. We'll talk about Germany here in a second, because that's on the books, and we're tracking that now too for 2018, which is really, really exciting. But we will be introducing cutting-edge products basically every quarter, and a number of them every single year. So 2018, look for some new products that'll be coming through. What else was new? We got a streamlined version, updated current 2021 version for our back office, which for Dan Catto, he needs simplicity when it comes to technology, and I embrace that in a huge way. That was fabulous. You'll be seeing more HLCs, by the way, for all of you North Americans in the Northeast in 2018. So it's some pretty exciting stuff there. Gang, in 2017, for people that are not a part of us, and even people that are part of NHT, sometimes we get a wake-up call, but people just can't believe that our distributors that get involved not only qualify for your global ambassador for the type of income and Joe and I can't talk about it from a compliance standpoint, but it's a retirement residual income. Actually, you can have that long before it on the other ranks, but it's 7 figures. I mean, we can say it because it is. That's at rank 9, which is global ambassador. But besides all of that, there is the incentives in 2017. Some people aren't aware that there's cars, not only the cash, but homes, education at the top universities in North America for your kids, your grandkids. We had cruises, and we had a cruise that we had close to 2,000. There's over 1,700 of our distributors. We took over the ship. It was incredible. Took over the ship. San Diego, South Africa, Prague, Stockholm, and other different destinations, as far as our incentives that we had for 2017. It was unbelievable. But we've got even more in 2018, which we're going to talk about here in a second. We had events, as I shared with you, the great Andreas in Chicago. He lit it up in Chicago with you, Joey. We had them in California this year. Ireland ripped. I was there, or you were there in the spring, Joe. It was great events there in Ireland, in Dublin, New York, Russia, Hong Kong, Macau, Malaysia. Peru was off the charts for that Mardi Gras event we had just November 11th, and the incredible event that we had in Stockholm, Sweden. It was unbelievable. All headlined by the great Helen. Joe, you and I could talk so much more, and so much of our history is there over the last 17 years and what we've done just in 2017. But again, we talk about we got to remember that, never forget where you came from. But what have we got on the horizon? I'll talk to you about that but just to preface that, this is a big part of where we're going and you should be going and you want to be going. And that is qualifying for the Royal Summit. If you hit rank 8 and rank 9, you've got a week-long event. You take your spouse, take your significant or insignificant other on this particular excursion trip incentive. It's once a year. Joe and I, or sometimes the two of us, will go with our spouses. They're the most exotic locations around in the world. I just came back from Sweden with my wife. There was two things that happened in Sweden. We had our European event on the Saturday, December 2nd in Stockholm. So global ambassadors, we have platinum directors and global ambassadors that all converged into Stockholm for that Saturday. They arrived on the Friday, which tied into the major European event that we had on the Saturday, but it kicked off a week-long extravaganza of not 5. If there is such a thing as 6-star, it was that. It was unbelievable. You can qualify for the Royal Summit and these incredible incentives that is put on by NHT once a year. If through the Supreme Bonus program from rank 4 and up. Now, I'm not going to get into the fine print on that, but you need to check that out because you can't miss that. You have got to experience a Royal Summit experience. You just have to experience it. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. We kicked it off in Stockholm. We stayed at the number 1 hotel, boutique hotel. There's only one. It's not like a Hyatt or even a Four Seasons. This thing was a 5 Seasons. And we stayed at the number 1 hotel, dined at the top restaurants, and the number 1 restaurant, which was at the top of this hotel the first night we were there. And there was a picture, Joey, I think you put it up on Facebook, where my wife and I were the top of Stockholm as we threw out there, and it just overlooked all of Stockholm in the evening. It was magical. But they took us through the Royal Palace, the number 1 museum. You and I dined in that. That I forget which night it was. I think it might have been the Monday night or the Tuesday night with Chris Charna, our global ambassadors. My wife and I went through where the Nobel Prize dinners are being held for the Nobel Prize winners. As a matter of fact, the most recent one is a dear friend of our family's, Setsuko Thurlow, who, from a personal standpoint, she had survived Hiroshima in Japan in World War II and received the Nobel Prize, and that's where her dinner was. And my wife were there. We took photos in there. It was unbelievable. It was really incredible in Stockholm, but it went to a whole other level when we flew north of Stockholm, about an hour and a half by plane. So this is not a car ride. This is a plane ride north of Stockholm. We get into the most northern remote area of all of Sweden. It's called Kiruna. For all you Canadians and hockey players out there, I saw Boris Salming's home in the arena that he grew up in. He is basically the Wayne Gretzky, the Christian Maldonado of soccer, but the Wayne Gretzky of hockey for Sweden. He's a god. He's an ambassador, and I grew up. He was one of my hockey heroes, and I got to see his home, little home that he grew up in the arena. So from a personal standpoint, that was something, Joey, and I know for you that would have moved you. But it was like a fairy tale, winter wonderland. We got to see the northern lights that danced the night that we were out for an hour and a half. It was a light show. It was natural. It was beautiful. There was dog sledding, reindeer sleighing, skidooing. We partied at the Ice Hotel. We stayed overnight in the Ice Hotel. Gang, whatever you pay for a night at a hotel, go to a 5-star, the Four Seasons. It probably starts around $500 a night, $600 a night. The Ice Hotel, $2,000. This is the level we play at. So qualify for the Royal Summit. It is so much more than that. You can get some of the pictures online in the Facebook community. Albert who runs NHT in Asia. This guy is he is so good. But you can get some great visuals on what we experienced there, from the Ice Hotel to the light shows to the Northern Lights. Dan Ocado is not really tech savvy even with a camera, but I got some great pictures, Joe, but as you know, we want to turn it over to the best. So you'll see some of that. But gang, it was so exciting, so much fun. At one of the highlights was Chris Sharn's talk. We had that incredible dinner, Joe, at the museum. And Chris Sharn had really talked about two things. One, really where we are and what our focus was from a corporate standpoint and a leadership standpoint, and where we need to go from where we are. He talked about Kaizen, which is really his version, which is really like Kanai, Anthony Robbins' personal growth. And as you know, as leaders and field people, Kanai is constant, never-ending improvement. And I've always said that, you know, when you're green, you're growing. When you're ripe, you're rot. If you're not continuing to look forward to grow, you will be left behind. But Chris's talk was really about that, about how, one, in terms of growth, internally, from a corporate standpoint to a field standpoint. And he talked about Kaizen. He talked about the unconscious incompetence leading to the conscious incompetence, which in the cycle takes you to the conscious competence, and then eventually, ultimately, unconscious competence. And that's all this cycle of growth where, you know, your habits become automatic. This is going to be more what I know you want to share with everyone, Joe, but it's I loved hearing it. I mean, it was smack on to what all of the successful companies, corporations, and leaders inside and outside of our industry look at: growth, personal growth, making success a habit, you know, doing all of the right things that become a habit. Initially, it's uncomfortable, but eventually it does become comfortable and conscious, and then it becomes unconscious, where, you know, our success is just an automatic. You know, he talked about communication and how corporate is really going to focus so much more on the quality of communication for all of our people. I think we've got some of the best communication that's out there in our industry, but he wants to get better internally. He was very humble in what he was saying about focusing on being a good listener, deep, attentive listening, where ideas, you know, this is where they all come from. Creating an environment of encouraging, you know, constructive discussion. You know, not always having that person that says they agree. And Joey, you and I know this, and for all of you out there, Joe and I don't agree all the time. We have closed the door, you know, like a married couple have conversation, the kids don't hear it, but it's healthy for us, and it's healthy for all of you that we do everything we can to provide the best leadership possible and an environment for all of our people possible. You know, Chris had talked about you never kill an idea. You can't kill an idea too fast, which was a quote from Napoleon, where a leader is a dealer in hope. Napoleon's quote, a leader is a dealer in hope. So it was powerful. It was just great. We all continue to grow, Joe. You and I do, but NHT's leadership corporately is growing at the same pace. So it's beautiful to see. We're in certainly great hands. Gang, 2018 is crazily exciting. We've got events coming up, incentives coming up, promotions coming up, comp plan enhancements coming up, and new products. But in January, we got the Ambassador Academy in Hong Kong. We got a February roadshow for all of you South Americans in Peru. Mexico is, we've got a big thing happening in Mexico. By the way, Germany is now on the map. You'll be getting more about that very, very shortly. But just maybe to finish on that February roadshow in Peru, Joe will be there with one of our top doctors on a roadshow in Peru. We've got another one that's going to be in February, March in Sweden, Dublin, Nuremberg, Germany. Bravo, Isa Patel, and what you've done, and Thomas and Dalibor. in putting all of that together, and Finland as well. So much happening in Scandinavia and Europe. And we have got a June Success Forum in Russia. And I know another roadshow that'll be going on prior to that as well. So along with the incentives in Croatia for the Europeans and the Russians, that'll happen in June. That's after the Success Forum in Moscow. The qualifiers will fly right from Moscow to Croatia. Our South Americans are going to be, which is the Peruvians and the Mexicans, Cartagena and the Hong Kong incentive. We've already got, I think, Joe, a half a dozen Peruvians that are qualified or just in wrapping up their December 31st qualification for Hong Kong. This will be crazy for them. What they're going to be seeing in Hong Kong, gang, we got over 7,000 people booked already in Hong Kong. So wherever you are in the world, that's something that you want to take in, is these major events. We have 2 of them a year. It's nearly like more than that now because of the growth of what we're going through. But more of the fine print and the details to follow in that. But you want to be a part of that as much as you can. The comp plan, there will be a new preferred customer program in Europe, which is just presented to our inner circle that's being released. There will be BV adjustments, Joey, as you know, and it'll be very affordable. And there's new packages with the SKUs that are being introduced with that. The Supreme Bonus program is going to be enhanced, and we're going to release that in 2018 as well. So, Joe, there's so much more I can share with you, but just lastly, to give you an idea of what we have planned beyond 2018 is this. I sat down with Molly and our inner circle ambassadors in Kiruna. We closed the door. We sat down. We have a plan. Our plan in the next 10 years is 10,000 new global ambassadors. Right now, we've got less than 100. So when we add another 9,900 global ambassadors, where's the volume? Where's the stock? Where are you? Where are your kids? Where's your family? Where's your future? So, Molly said we have to, we talked about this, we all kind of got together. We're very, very passionate about this, is we all have to take responsibility, obviously, of where we are and especially where we're going. It's work, it's the fundamentals, it's remaining humble, it's talking to people, it's setting the pace, setting the example, edifying our great, great people, share the stories of what's going on, love your people, provide mentorship for them. And we've got a great, great future in store for us for 2018 and beyond. Joey, there's so much more to talk about, but I'm going to swallow up more time if I keep going here. And we want to wrap this soon. But, buddy, over to you. It's an exciting time to be part of NHT.
Hey, Dano, that was absolutely fantastic. Every time you get a chance to talk about vision, reminds me the first time I met you back in June 23rd, 1993. And you're getting better as you get older. And thanks very much for jumping on.
Thank God for these products, Joey. Thanks.
Very true. Well, you heard it from the best, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to go into, and I'd highly recommend you take a pen and paper. When Dan met me on June 23rd, 1993, briefly, and I joke around with people, but it's the truth. On a scale of 1 to 10, I was a -10. My desire was through the roof. And I'm going to go over specifically how I grew as an individual, how I was able to reach my goals and my dreams, how I was able to continue to grow and become a global ambassador. And if I could do it, all of you can do it. So I'd highly recommend take a pen and paper, and we're going to go passionately over the next 20 minutes and how you can make 2018 your best year ever. Dan, you and I have traveled the whole world. Probably between both of us, well over 100 countries combined, all over the world. The number one challenge that we have in this world, is finances. Dan and I have sat in meetings, done the trainings, and we hear the same stories over and over and over again, where people continue to struggle with money from all walks of life. And I've been a student of success. I've been a student because I wanted to become successful. I had a huge passion. It became an obsession for me. And I'll go into why that became an obsession for me and why sometimes people succeed and have everything they want, which we call here in North America the Midas touch. Everything they touch turns to gold and diamonds. And one of the questions that I asked myself back in June 23rd, and I'll just take you back there. Here I am in my early 20s, and Mr. Caddo is up on stage. And there was a number of great successful leaders up on stage. And after the presentation, it was a Super Saturday, and it was late Saturday afternoon. And I'm sitting in the back of the room. I'm with my brother, and I'm watching and observing what was transpiring. Everybody just gravitated to Dan, and all the other speakers had maybe one or two people there. And I asked myself this question back then. I didn't have the answer, but eventually found out. Why were people so attracted to Dan? And it's because Dan had a dream. Dan's dream encompassed his whole body from head to toe. Dan knew where he was going. One of the major famous Bible passages, and I'm paraphrasing here, without vision, people perish. Without vision, people perish. It didn't say without vision, you're going to have a bad day tomorrow. You're going to have a bad day next week. You're going to have a bad day next month. Without vision, people perish. All roads lead to nowhere. You don't know what you want in life. So the very first thing that I did way back in 1993, and I recognized this right away, is I needed to have a dream. I needed to have something excite me every single morning when I got up, when the disappointments were there, when I thought I couldn't do it. I had that dream in front of me. That dream became my obsession. I fell in love with it. And get this, ladies and gentlemen, everything else in my life started to work the way I wanted it to, because I was on purpose. I knew where I was going. When I was sitting in front of someone where my skill level was probably a minus 10 out of 10, they felt my commitment. They felt my desire. They knew I was going somewhere because I had a dream. So just think back over the last 5 to 10 years. And many of you are probably resonating with me right now that you've been struggling financially. You haven't reached your goals in 2017. You may have made some money and then you go back. You may have made some money, then you take a step back. It's probably because your dream is not identified and it has not become an obsession for you. You haven't fallen in love with it. So the first step that I recommend all of you to do is determine what you want. And here's the thing. Here is the thing. Is most of us have been programmed not to dream. Most of us have been programmed, hey, Dan, don't dream. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to have a broken heart. You're going to fail. So stay safe. Stay within your comfort zone. I bet you all of you right now, if I asked you what you don't want in life, you can come up with a list of 100 things right away. You don't even have to think about it. It just comes right through your lips, one by one, one by one. But if I asked you what you want in life, what your dream is, what your focus is, many of you can't come up with it. You may have an idea like, I want to go debt free, or I want to become financially free. I want a lifestyle where I can wake up without an alarm. See, this is not good enough, ladies and gentlemen. The world works on detail. The world works on specifics. The stuff that we have around the globe, the cars, the houses. I'm in my office here. I have a couch or sofa, depending where you come from in the world. This is made up of the same stuff. these energy packets. You know, recently, Dan, they have done science experiments where they recognize now that everything that is materialized in this world is made up of the same stuff. They also recognize that this stuff, which is our biatomic particles, or have this thinking stuff behind it. So I don't want to get too technical into this area, but when you think of, let's say your goal, your dream, you become passionate about it, is a red Corvette. You know, you're into cars and you want to drive that Corvette. You can feel the leather. You may have done a test drive in the past. You can feel the leather. You have a T-roof. You're driving down the freeway and you're feeling like $1 million. Immediately in a parallel universe, that red Corvette is now being materialized. That thinking stuff is now being materialized. What happens is that parallel universe becomes yours when you fall in love with it. We don't know what the gestation period is, but when you fall in love with it. So if you want 2018 to be your best year ever, you need to determine what that dream is. You need to be very specific. It can't be something that is a dollar amount. It can't be that you want to go financially free or you want to go debt free. You need to be specific. What is your perfect day? What is the house you want to live in if that's your dream? What is it, the cars you want to drive if that's your dream? If you want to travel, where do you want to travel? What do you want to do with it? You look at all our global ambassadors, you know, and even going back to Dan, and one of the first things I learned from Dan is in his planner that he carried around with him all the time. And he would open that first page, and that first page was his dream home in a hot climate. He had already visioned that he would go and spend winters in a hotter climate. And Dan was able to accomplish that. Why? Because it was a dream. He became obsessed with it. This is why he built the business. Every single day, he worked it because that dream was in front of him. There will be people here today that will be watching this webinar. In the future, they'll be listening to this webinar. And they will not write down what their dream is. They won't even work on it. You know, success is simple disciplines repeated over time. Success is all about people doing what other people don't do, or the masses don't do. So determine what you want. If you look at any great things in this world that have been accomplished, it's been accomplished because that person had a dream. That person had a dream. So let me just share with you a couple of analogies with us. And I shared one of them in Sweden. If you look at Latin America, from Mexico all the way to the tip of Argentina, South America, and you look at Canada, US, we're on the same side of the planet. We were founded by basically the same people, Western Europeans. So Canada and the US, what we call Canada and US today, we were founded by Europe, the English, the Scots, you know, the rest of the UK, and the Western Europeans, the French, right? Whereas Latin America was primarily the Portuguese and the Spanish, a little bit of the Dutch. You look at hundreds of years later, there was a distinct difference amongst prosperity and abundance. Canada and the US have been flourishing for decades. Latin America, not very much. There's a distinct difference of prosperity and abundance, but it's not logical. Founded by the same people, we have the same resources on the same side of the planet. And why the difference? I really believe it goes back to the foundation, the home. In North America, what we call Canada and US today, these people were the founders, the settlers went looking for a home. Whereas in Latin America, they went looking for wealth. They killed and pillaged and took all the wealth back home. Look at the consequences generations later. Another study a few years ago where they took they had two dishes. They had a cancerous dish and they had a healthy petri dish. So they took the cancer dish of all the cancer cells and put it into the healthy cells. What happened is the healthy cells overtook the cancer dish cells, and the cancer cells died. They did the same study, but took the healthy cells and put it into the cancer cells. Guess what happened? The cancer cells dominated the healthy cells. Nothing changed. It was the same cells that they used, but it's not logical. How is that possible? Well, it's because of the foundation, the environment. So when you took the healthy cells and put it into the cancer cell environment, look at the results you got. You took the cancer cells and you put in the healthy environment, the healthy environment won. Same thing happens with success. If you have a solid platform, a foundation, doing the things from square one that aligns with your purpose, your dream, you're going to have the results many years later. You're going to have a home. You're going to have a home. The ones that don't develop a dream, so they're the healthy dish, and that dream, there's no dream there. That healthy dish goes into the negativity of the cancer cells. What happens? That dream, nothing happens. The success stops immediately. You're into the struggle effort. But when you have a dream, you set up the foundation. That's the secret to life. It's a secret to life, determining what you want and then going after it. And that's the second step that I would recommend in 2018, is you need to create action. You know, Dan talks about our history. Most people don't understand. In 2001, when we started, our launch event was May 2001 in Vegas. We had all this momentum, lots of excitement, new company. We launched here in Canada in June. We exploded in Canada, and a month later, they closed down Canada because we couldn't have Allura. Allura was declassified. So when you only have one product, you can't do business. So the following month, we go into Australia. We did $1 million in sales in Australia and New Zealand. Same thing happened in Australia, New Zealand. September 1st comes along, do all this success, and they close us down. They closed us down. And then what happens a few days later? September 11th. You know, the number one tragedy that North America's ever experienced. Thousands of people died. The whole world was stopped. Business stopped. Nobody wanted to work. Everyone was so focused on the negativity. Everyone was so focused on negativity. It was easy to quit. By the way, thousands of NHT Global distributors quit then. You know that 16 years later, there's only 3 distributors that started in 2001 that are still here. Francis Maxwell, the great Francis Maxwell in Arkansas, Dan Cato, and myself. And many thousands of people later, many years later, they say that Dan and Joe are lucky, that Francis is lucky. Many years later. You know why we're still here? Why it got us through the most difficult times in 2001? It was because we had a dream. That dream was so in front of me. You know, when September 11th happened, I realized I couldn't watch that plane going into the towers. What kept me on track? I was still prospecting. I had people call me, hang up on me and told me where to go and all these profanities. How can you do business at this time? I had a dream. I continue to go. I continue to consistently talk to new people. I continue to share the product because I had that dream. It was so clearly in front of me. And I also had an action plan. So my first year in NHT, I talked to, on average, 3 people a day. I massively hit the business every 90 days. So what we're doing today in December is going to affect January and February. You know, most people now have stopped working in December. They stopped prospecting, stopped selling, because in their idea, everyone is focused on the holidays. And then January comes along, and what happens? It takes maybe 2 or 3 weeks just to get going, just to get, you know, through the holiday doldrums. Then they start getting their credit card bills. And most people end up starting in February, and it becomes too late. And it takes another 2 or 3 months just to get some momentum going in 2018. So the action plan is easy when you know what your dream is. So when do you want to get to the first rank in the IRP? When do you want to get to the second rank? What do you need to accomplish to get to that first rank and the second rank? What kind of activity that you need to create? You know, Dan talked about we're the fastest growing publicly traded company in the world. 2 years in a row, unprecedented. 2015, we are number 2. We have social proof, as Dan shared, we have social proof around the world that our business model works. You will never have an opportunity in 2018 and 2017 in the future. This is the #1 greatest recruiting tool that we've ever had in our 20 plus years in the industry. 24 years for me, 30 years for Dan. We're taking advantage of it. We have an action plan together. We're leading by example. So that's the second thing I would recommend is put that action plan together. Put that action plan together. And then the third thing, and this is the easiest part, when your dream becomes the most important thing in your life, now you are obsessed with it. You fall in love with it. And when you fall in love with it now, you need to understand that you need to become all in. You need to be all in the business. I know a lot of you are here today, and I assume that a lot of you watching this here in the future and now are really serious, want to change things in 2018, want to develop a major business in NHT. If that's the case, you need to be all in, 100%. You need to tie into all the communication platforms, you know, the NHT Global Facebook pages, we have NHT Global Community, and each country and market has their own Facebook page. You need to tap in and know what's going on. You need to read, for example, my emails, the emails that Dan and I send out on what's going on globally. You need to tap into that and share that with your teams. You need to be promoting every kind of event that's going on in your market. Just keep people educated. You need to be all in. You need to attend all the events in your market. Our national events, you know, in 2018, we'll have another major national event in August of next year. So you need to be all in. And that's never been an issue for me. Because when I fell in love with my dream, I became obsessed with it. And there goes the word obsessed again. I knew I needed to be all in. I needed to work my business like an Olympic athlete every single day. Here's what I did from there. Not only did I become all in, is I made 100% commitment that I would never quit. I wouldn't even think about quitting. In my 24 years in this industry, I never even thought about quitting. I was the guy on the Titanic, Leonardo DiCaprio. I would be that guy on that ship, you know, and telling people, oh, the ship is not drowning. We're not going to drown. Everything's going to be okay. Because I was so committed to my dream, to my family. And a lot of people say, well, I have more important things than my dream in my life, like my family, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the thing that I found in my life. Yes, my family is #1 in my life. You know, my spiritualness is #1 in my life. You know, I've got all these great values that I've worked on over the years. I realized when my dream became #1, it became a priority, my family life became better. My relationships became better. My life went into the direction of what I wanted. It was just like I didn't have these. I don't want to sound arrogant. These challenges in life that people have that just stop you in the tracks. I just continue to go because I knew where I was going. The power that we have right now in our life is not what's happened in the past. And that's what Dan and I don't focus on the past anymore. We'll look at it as, wow, we've done all this. This has been great. We've traveled the world. We've had some great relationships, great success. But the power in the future is what we're thinking about now, what we're doing actually right now. So once so let's just review. You got to determine what you want. Please, if it takes you a month to do this, you got to do this. Without vision, people will perish. Perish. All roads will go to nowhere, will lead to nowhere if you don't know what you want specifically. Do this exercise with the people that you sponsor in your business. Duplicate this part of the business and watch what happens. Watch what happens. Second thing you need to do is you need to create an action plan. As Dan shared, when do you want to get to the first rank, the second rank, the third rank? Put an action plan together with your sponsor, with your upline leader. Third thing you need to be all in. You need to be 100% committed. You need to be 100% committed. And the fourth thing to keep you on track. I'm going to actually do a training in this probably in January, February. There are 7 levels of leadership. Majority of people that come into our business, I don't want to offend anybody, is basically the first level, which is I call the animalistic level. Not into self-help or personal development, no goals or dreams. They live life by default. And to get people to that second phase, which is the inspiration phase, you need to help people develop a plan of personal development. And so I get people on reading The Science of Getting Rich, which you can get on Steam Team. I also get them the Bob Proctor seminar with Jack Canfield and Michael Beckwith, which I invested well over $3,000 or $4,000 a number of years ago. You can get it online for free. Science of Getting Rich, probably #1 personal development program. You start feeding people this information, they're going to get inspired. Not only they're going to get inspired, they're going to go after develop their dream. That's the second level. The third level is aspiration. How do you get people from inspiration to aspiration? By getting them to the first rank. They're now starting to believe, yeah, I can get to global ambassador. I'm seeing some results in my life. And typically when people, and I'm reading every day, an hour a day. I'm listening to great things every day. I'm filling my mind with incredible things. When you get to someone to aspiration level, you basically got a long-term distributor. The people that don't do this, and I'll give you some statistics, I'm going to end with this. You know that 95% of real estate agents quit within a year to 2 years of their business. You know 95% of insurance agents quit within a couple of years. You know that, and this is reality in network marketing, is many people that have a focus in developing a business will not make it past their first or second year. It's not unlike real estate and insurance and many other things. But the ones that set their dream, the ones that know where their destination is, the ones that fall in love with it, that becomes an obsession, a crusade, the ones that do that will win, guaranteed. Fall in love with your dream and you will win the race. You will win the race. And there is no better opportunity and support system than NHD Global. And I hope today that from what Dan had shared, that you got a foundation of what you really have in your hands with NHD. It's not hype. Everything's verifiable. And Dan and I, it's not about hype. It's just giving you and educating you guys to know what you have in your hands here with NHD. Our dream is to create a legacy company Whereas Dan, are you still there?
Yeah, right here, Joey.
Yeah. So the other day I'm talking to a lawyer 2 days ago, right? He's a prospect. And I was sharing my dream to him, right? And I said, my dream is to create $1 billion annual company, $1 billion annual, where we're able to pass our incomes to our kids and grandkids. You know what he told me? Dan,
oh, sorry, you're asking me. I thought you're asking yourself to tell everybody.
You know what he told me?
For sure. What did he tell you? He thought you were crazy?
No, he said our dream is small, too small.
Oh. And he thought our dream was too small? Love hearing that.
And I loved it. And because that made me look at the actual dream, because we are limited by our beliefs and what we can accomplish, right? And he said, in e-commerce and where you guys are going, I can see you guys be doing 10 billion annually. And that was incredible, And again, that's where we are going to create a legacy where we can pass our incomes down to our kids and grandkids. And I want to ask this question. How many are you that are watching this right now and in the future are with us? And if you're with us, please follow our advice. Dan, when I first started in 93, Dan was successful. He had achieved a lot up until that point. And I knew the quickest point for me to become successful was not to reinvent the wheel. I was going to do exactly what Dan did. So Dan had a picture of his dream home in his planner. I did the same thing. I had my dream right there in front of me, right? Dan was sharing with me that he had a $1 million bill in one of his trainings. And I'm going to show you right now. Just 1 second. That what I did many years ago, had this bill put up on my bulletin board in my office. You imagine that? I had it all one copied and I put it in the top of my bedroom ceiling. So every morning when I got up, this is where I was going. I was going to be in the $1 Million Club. Every day I got into my office, this is what I was doing. Every day that I had a disappointment that someone told me no and I thought they were going to come in, I looked at that. This was an obsession for me. This became a crusade. And again, all parts of my life started to come together like the Midas touch because I was on purpose. It was not about materialistic things. My spiritual level grew. My conscious level grew. My family level grew. You should see my kids. You walk into their bedrooms now. They're in school. And they have, my son repainted his bedroom. And on one of the wall, he painted it with whiteboard painting. Okay, so he's able to write on the wall what his goals are, his dreams are, what he wants to accomplish, all in there. Did I teach him to do that? No, I didn't teach him to do it. I didn't go and tell him, this is what you need to do now, Kyle, as he's an adult. It's because he saw me doing this for years. He grew up with it. And now both of them have unlimited possibility in their lives because they believe that anything's possible because I showed them what to do. Like Dan showed me what to do by his actions. So Dan, I'm going to close it off now. And any last minute words on your end, please?
Well, I don't know how much more we could say. Yeah, I think I said it in Sweden. If you're not on fire with this, then your wood's wet, and that did get translated okay. But I think one of the most profound, one of the most profound statements I've ever heard was the one you said about 20 minutes ago about the cell and the cancer cell and the healthy cell. That moved me. That's one of the most profound statements, not just by you, that I have ever heard, Joe, in my life. I mean, that was unbelievable, in terms of, your environment. Anyways, I don't need to repeat it. But if you didn't get a message from that, God, you just got to be missing it completely. So that was a profound, powerful statement that I am going to use in the future going forward. So excellent job here, Chief. Real good. Gang, just wrapping up. We did blow over by a few minutes, but as you know, we've always said the motivation comes from the information, and you know it's certainly there. My focus today, as Joe's is we continue doing the same things as we did 24 and 30 years ago. We remain as humble as we can. We never forget where we came from, and we continue to focus on the fundamentals. We're sponsoring Platinums every month. Joe and I as a partnership, and we have our own distributorships, et cetera, but we focus every day on doing those same core fundamentals. We want to promote rank through our organizations and bring in Platinums. And the very, very essence and core of our business, again, is the fundamentals, and that's sharing the product, sharing the opportunity, and promoting that next event that we have. So, gang, it's what you do with what you've got is what's so key here. And again, Joey, great job. We're all looking forward to seeing each other at an event coming to you in our 45 to 50 countries and markets around the world. Joe and I have got an extensive travel schedule. We can't wait to see you. We will, and we hope to see all of you somewhere in our world, in your world, in 2018. So, Joey, with that, great year, 2017. Have a great holidays, everyone. Joe and I are going to share a lot of products over the holidays. We got products for all of our loved ones, family, and friends, but there's a lot of people out there certainly looking for an opportunity, and a lot of people that certainly need it. So we'll be doing that over the holidays as well. But, buddy, great job. Over to you.
Yes, and Dan, just one last comment. We are committed to helping all of you 2018 and sending great blessings, and may God bless all of you and your families this holiday season. And in 2018, may you be blessed with prosperity and abundance, and helping your friends do the same. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for jumping on. Thank you, Dan. Bye-bye.
Have a great one. Happy holidays. Bye-bye, everybody.